All right, so today we are going to watch Dan Morgan's interview. He's the GM for the Panthers. And then we're going to watch Dave Canales' interview that he did for day one of training camp. And we're just going to compare and contrast, make sure messaging's the same throughout both interviews. But for me, a little bit of background, if you don't know me. Uh, some people do in the DFS, fantasy, sports betting space. I have historically done a lot of work there, won a couple six-figure wins, stuff like that. And I think the thing that not enough people talk about is that you can get so much information from these interviews for your team, for what is actually going to happen on the field. A lot of these coaches are way more honest than you think they would be. And oftentimes, it's not always what they say, but is what are they actually communicating to the team and what are they not saying. So there's just so much you can get from these interviews, and I'm just going to start to do more of that on this channel. And for me, I'm all about just like social dynamics in general, and so I'll still have some other content throughout, but I want to get to more of these teams and just dig deeper. I'm also a Panthers fan. You might be able to see the Panthers painting in the back, but let's get to it. We're not wasting time today. Dan Morgan.
So the vets, they reported today. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement down there. I think all the guys, they had really good off seasons. They all looked in great shape. Came in exactly how you would expect them to. So yeah, they're really excited. We're really excited to get going. I think definitely build off the momentum from last year and put the work in. Go earn it and go have some fun doing it. I know all the guys are excited down there and they're ready to get rolling. I'll start with like a few transactions. So this will be today. So non-football injury, Bobby Brown, he was working out. He hurt his hamstring a little bit, so I don't really have a timeline on it, but hopefully he's back sooner than later.
Ooh, gotta call him. That's gotta happen sometimes. But okay, he's just giving us an update on Bobby Brown.
All you guys know about J.C. Horn cutting his toe. That's doing good. I think that'll be a matter of days. So nothing long term there. Everybody knows physically unable to perform would be Icky and Turk Wharton. You guys know about their injuries. They're both doing really well, attacking the rehab process, looking really good, making a lot of progress. So we're really pleased with where they're at.
Okay, for those of you that don't know, Bobby Brown, he's the nose tackle for the Panthers. He's out. That's who he's talking about. He's just giving me an update on a lot of these guys. I think he called him T. Wharton, but Tershawn Wharton, he's like listed as like the right defensive end. He's out. J.C. Horn having a bit of a toe injury. He's out. He's the cornerback for the Panthers, the star cornerback for the Panthers. It doesn't sound like any of these too far have been too serious, but he did touch on, of course, like Ike Ekwonu being out. He's going to be out for most of the season. Curious if he's going to give us an update on Taylor Moton.
Non-football illness, Taylor Moton. All you guys know about that as well. Doctors are taking really good care of him. He's doing great. He's in a good place.
Nice.
Being well taken care of. He's going to be around the team. He's got a lot of support from, in the building, teammates, doctors. So he's doing really well. And then we waived non-football injury Jalen Gilbo, who was an undrafted rookie that we had. So that's all the transactions. With that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Just to clarify.
All right, this is when it actually starts to matter. Like, this first intro is always super scripted. Just things are going well. Here's some updates on a little bit of news here and there. But Taylor Moton, he has like a blood clot in his lung, which is a pretty serious thing. And so I am glad we got an update on that. We don't really know when he'll come back, but that's one of those things that can be serious if not taken care of quickly.
Jalen isn't waived. He's waived with like an injury designation.
Yeah, it's a non-football injury.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if he were to clear waivers, he would go back to the NFI, or is he not subject to waivers?
Yeah, he wouldn't be. Yeah, he wouldn't be on our roster. Yeah.
In regards to Turk, I know you don't want to say a timeline, but what positive signs have you seen from him during his rehab time?
Yeah, he's making progress every single day. Of course, I don't have a timeline on it. You know, the neck injuries, you got to be really careful with them, and he knows that, you know, we're going to look out for his health first and foremost. But he's doing really well, making a lot of progress, and we feel optimistic about him getting back, you know, during the season at some point, hopefully sooner than later.
I know it's a different training staff, but what did you learn about the DJ Wanham situation with the blood clots that kind of gives you perspective with Taylor?
Yeah, I mean, those things they're scary, and, you know, I think when you talk about those type of things and any injury, you know, the player's health is the most important thing to us. You know, you can throw the football to the side, you know, at that point. So we were just concerned about him, and he's in a good place, doing really well now, which we're really happy about, obviously. So he's in good spirits.
Dan, could you tell us how the JC injury happened, and then how you guys, or how Taylor discovered his situation?
Yeah, I think JC was just, you know, running. I don't think he had shoes on. You know, he'll be able to probably explain it to you a little better when you talk to him. But, you know, just cut his toe a little bit. You know, got some stitches in the toe. Nothing that's really a big deal that's going to keep him out. Nothing we're concerned about. And then who's the other?
You know, maybe maybe it isn't a big deal, but stitches sounds a little bit like a bigger deal than like a small little cut. So I don't know. It did seem like he was definitely trying to make sure no one freaks out too much, and we are still so far away from playing football that actually matters. So I don't think he's wrong to like not panic here, but you can definitely tell he's covering up some stuff here. Those words just did not equate. Like, oh, you know, he's just running around, had a small little cut, like everything's gonna be fine. Then stitches, like that stitches definitely does raise the severity of it a little bit.
Situation develop, and how did he become aware of it, and you guys?
Yeah, I think like right there at the end of June, we, you know, I got a call about it, and you can talk to him a little more in detail about, you know, the whole situation and how it transpired. But you know, once we heard about it, you know, we obviously, our doctors took good care of him, you know, and we attacked it quickly. They did a great job, and again, he's in a really good place right now.
How do you anticipate handling that right tackle position?
Yeah, I think, you know, Coach Canales will talk to you tomorrow, but I'll just kind of lay the groundwork a little bit. Monroe is going to be at right tackle. We're going to leave Rashid at left tackle. You know, we have.
I love getting direct answers. Okay, so right tackle with Moten being out, and then of course Icky has been out for a while at left tackle. He's saying Monroe Freeling is going to move up and play right tackle for now. And then I might have to go back a little bit. I might have missed
Have at right tackle. We're going to leave Rashid at left tackle.
Okay, so that's Rashid Walker at left tackle. Dang, Rashid Walker is not someone I always have the most confidence in, but at least he's starting off early in the, like, you know, training camp, things of that sort. So at least we'll have a lot of at-bats to continue to get better and better. Whenever someone has like a full off season, or not off season, but like preseason period at a position, I always feel better than I would if it's like 2 weeks before the season kicks off or like the middle of the season. So I don't love Rashid Walker. You know, he's just not like the most exciting player, but at least, like, you know, better than nothing, I guess.
You know, we have Stone Forsyth.
Yep.
We just re-signed Brady Christensen, who can play both sides. You know, we got some undrafted rookies that we're excited about. So I think we'll be covered there. We feel good about it. And, you know, I know Timo will definitely support.
Do y'all feel like he feels good about this? See, so whenever you give like a direct answer, and then you end that same sentence with, we also have some rookies, a couple of undrafted guys. You do not feel good about this. You do not feel good. If you felt good, you would have said, we have Monroe, we have Rashid, we're still steady. Next man up. But instead, he's giving us a long list of potential options they have because they have no fucking clue what they're going to do here.
Port, Monroe, they're at right tackle, and teach him all he knows. So, yeah, we feel good about it.
Monroe's the rookie they just drafted.
To go into camp and the season, actually, without your starting 2 tackles from last year.
Yeah, I think that's why, I think depth, it matters so much in this league. And, drafting Monroe and taking the best player available, it happened to be a tackle, worked out really well for us. So we feel really good about him. We're confident in him, and I know he's going to attack it, and, he's going to be out there competing.
It appeared like you guys were going to bring him along slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And, Dave talked about that during OTAs and minicamp. What are the challenges that he's going to face, you guys as an offense, as that development gets expedited?
Yeah, he's a rookie. He's going to go out there. Nothing's perfect, and, nothing's perfect with veteran guys either. So I know what Monroe's made of. He's a competitor. He's super smart. He's going to go out there. He's going to attack this thing, and we have full confidence in him.
Dan,
when you were
those guys
still playing, Jordan came in as a rookie, left tackle all his career, starts on the right that first year. What's the biggest thing about that switch from one side to the other from your standpoint, and how do you think Monroe's equipped to handle that?
Yeah, I think, first and foremost, it's on the other side. So, you're kicking differently. You're using your post hand is going to be a little different than it is on the left side. So there's, some little things that he's going to have to get used to. But, he's a young, moldable rookie, a guy that's going to come in here. He's coached really well by Joe Gilbert. Joe will do a great job with him. We have full confidence in him. We have full confidence in Monroe, and they're going to attack it together. And
realize the Panthers have 2 tackles out right now, and we're all really focusing on Monroe because he was the first round draft pick. He's the one that makes the most sense to focus on. But there's still a whole nother tackle position that we don't really feel all that great about. But I hear him. I agree. You can only feel so good about a rookie starting at your tackle position, but it makes this at this point you feel as good as you possibly can about that guy because he was an early draft pick. You believe in your coaches, all this stuff. You looked at his charts, everything. You saw his tape. You feel like he can be the fill-in for you, but he can't play 2 tackle positions. That's the problem I have. Is that there's just not a great plan outside of Monroe starting at one of those tackle positions.
I know Monroe's going to put the work in, and I feel good about it.
Dan, with the injuries you got on the defensive line, what type of feedback have you gotten from coaches and maybe veteran players about Lee Hunter from OTAs and heading into the summer?
Yeah, a lot of good feedback. Just talking to some of our starting linemen that went against him. Obviously, we're not in pads during OTAs and minicamp and stuff like that, but definitely got a lot of good feedback on how strong he is, how physical he is. He's quick off the ball. He's quicker than you think. He's more mobile than you think. So a lot of good feedback, and another young rookie that we're excited about. Looking forward to seeing him compete out there.
Dan, do you got an update on Icky? I know you guys kind of been, haven't really given a date when beginning of the season, middle of the season, end of the season. Is there anything you can help us with?
Yeah, I don't have an update on that. What I will say is Icky's really attacked this. He's in a really good place. The doctors are, the training staff, the doctors, they're really feeling good about where he's at right now. It's just a credit to Icky and who he is, attacking this rehab, not putting his head down and sulking. He's attacked it head on, and really proud of him and where he's at right now.
To say that you have some optimism that he might play this season?
Yeah, there's definitely some optimism. Again, timeline-wise, I don't have that, but we'll see where it goes.
And you mentioned Taylor was going to be able to be around. How important is that? Is his presence here, and how important has it been for this team? Sort of that consistency.
Yeah, I mean, he's a veteran guy that, he bleeds Panther blue. He's a guy that, having him around, even if he's not out there playing, he's invaluable for Monroe, to be in the room with him, to talk to him, to be out on the practice field with him and talk him through things and, just give him teaching lessons on what it's like to be a rookie and the challenges. And, it's bigger than football, if you want to say. It's, just life lessons that he can kind of get.
Do y'all see the difference, like with Dan Morgan? When he really believes something, and like his eyes are, once you get past his crazy eyes a little bit, you realize like he's very direct. And when he believes something, it's very steady. Everything's very steady, very stable. Not a lot of ifs, wins, but if this happens, it's very like, I believe this. Like Taylor Moton is blah, 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 blah. And he's doing all this stuff to bring it to the table. And it's just very clear. Whereas we saw when he was talking about the tackle position, there's a lot of like longer rambles where things just didn't feel as direct. He did believe in Monroe Freeling, like that became clear, but he knew there were still question marks there. You can just tell the difference between like what he actually really is standing 10 toes down on and the things he's like, we're just gonna have to see how that one plays out.
Give him.
He cooks in the kitchen when it comes to the receiving room. How do we feel about the offseason work from Xavier and Chris Brazel and guys like that?
Yeah, really good. Really.
The question was about the receiver room because there's a ton of receivers on the Panthers right now. We have Tet, we have Coker, and then he really emphasized like how are you feeling about Xavier Legette and Chris Brazel, and so that's kind of what he was highlighting. I just wanted to make sure that question was clear because it was a little
really
tough.
Proud of Xavier, the way he's attacked this offseason. He's in great shape right now. Just really excited where he's headed. He's in a great headspace. He's looking forward to going out there competing, and I'm looking forward to seeing him out there competing as well. Same thing with Chris Brazel. He's really attacked this offseason as well. Just working out hard every day. Looks great right now. Is in great shape. Just looking forward to the competition out there in general with every position group. I think there's going to be a lot of competition.
Dan, did you happen to?
Yeah, I think he believes that. They're in a really good spot at that position because Xavier, he definitely struggled a lot last year. Chris Brazel, rookie, coming in. A lot of people are expecting him to maybe take the job away from Legette. But like Dan's saying, they're both looking pretty good right now. Let's see who can win the competition. So it's just a good place for them to be.
Speaking of Legette, he lost his job, I guess, last year, you can say. Did you have to sit down and talk with him and give him a vote of confidence at any point or talk to him about, what you're expecting out of him?
I talked to him. I didn't have to give him like a pep talk or anything. Like, Xavier's a competitor. Xavier wants to be great. He's put the work in to be great. We have confidence in him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him out there compete.
You talked about him earlier, but we all know Brady can play all 5 spots. What were those conversations like to still keep him in the mix and stay in touch, and obviously, bring him back now and kind of?
They're talking about Brady Christensen, who is kind of like a backup guard typically, but he can play tackle as well. And he was cut from the team, and then now he's back. I don't think he was officially cut. I think we just didn't bring him back, but now he's back on the team, and so he does give us a little bit more flexibility on the offensive line because he does have a lot of flexibility with what he can play.
They have a lot more depth now just given these injuries.
Yeah, Brady's versatility, it's huge. He can play all 5 spots. Talking with him and communicating him just throughout the process, talking to him last season, talking to him throughout the offseason. We did a really good job of staying in touch with him, and when the time that he did get healthy, we felt like, hey, let's go get this guy. Let's bring a guy in that we know can play high-level football at any of those positions. So it was really an easy thing to do.
Yeah, so that really highlights that their biggest issue with Brady was just his health. I think a lot of us were kind of surprised that he wasn't extended like right away, because a lot of us like him. Like, he's a decent guy to have, especially with depth. But it does explain, like, they were worried about his health more than his ability to play.
Will Greer recently retiring. Did that come out of left field to you guys? Is there a plan to bring in a fourth quarterback just to have somebody to kind of, take some of the reps off of Haynes in the preseason games?
Yeah, no plans right now to bring a fourth guy on, but, obviously wish Will and his family the best. In terms of his career, just playing as long as he did, and just wish him the best moving forward.
Dan, you have largely resisted stating expectations prior to seasons, but with the fact that the Panthers hosted their first playoff game in 10 years, is it possible to resist expectations going into this year, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to shy away from expectations. We have high expectations ourselves, in the locker room, in the building. Our ultimate goal is to win a Super Bowl, to bring a championship back here to the Carolinas, in this city, and in this building, a Super Bowl trophy. So, yeah, we're not shying away from any of that.
Dan, you know damn well Panthers have never won a Super Bowl. Let's calm down.
We have high expectations ourselves. We're going to hold ourselves to a high standard, and we're going to go earn it. And you earn it by going every day in training camp, every practice, giving it your all, getting better every single day. And our players, they're ready to go.
In years past, you guys have
It's literally their jobs to believe in the team. So if he didn't, or if we had questions around if he really believed that or not, we would be in trouble. But I buy it, so it's all good.
kind of shelved Andy during some practices.
I believe in the Panthers this year. Bigger question. The offensive line being in trouble when you already have a short quarterback is a huge red flag. And losing Scorton is huge. Even though we do have like some decent backups. Well, I'm sure Canales will talk about it a little bit too, so I won't go on too much of a rant there. But I'm really concerned about the offensive line and Bryce Young, to be honest.
The preseason, what are your expectations for how you're going to use Kenny, especially now that you only have 3 quarterbacks?
Yeah, I think that's probably a better question for Coach Canales when you talk to him tomorrow. I'm sure, Coach is going to want to play him, but you should probably talk to him about that tomorrow.
Piggybacking on Alex's questions, this is a franchise that hadn't had a ton of playoff appearances over the years and not a ton back-to-back. How important will it be to kind of capitalize and roll forward with last year's momentum that really energized this fan base?
Yeah, I don't know that we have our goals. I think I stated that, like, we want to win the division, we want to win a championship, like that's the ultimate goal. But we're really focused on what's in front of us, and camp's in front of us right now. This is where you go earn it right now. And our players know that, our building knows that we got to put the work in. If we want to get to where we want to go, we got to put the work in, and that's what we're going to do here in training camp.
Last question. You and Brant, Dave, Baldwin, have said, we're taking this thing slowly, we're building for the future, we're not going to, try and build too fast, and we're just, what gives you the most optimism that things are headed in the right direction when you look at the roster, when you look at things, or what gives you the most?
Yeah, I think if you look at our roster, I feel like our depth has gotten a lot better, our talent has gotten a lot better. And I think the culture in the locker room and in the building, I think, is in a really good place right now. We're headed in a really good direction, but like I said, like everybody in the building knows that if we're going to get to where we want to go, we got to go earn it every single day out there on the practice field. We got to put the work in. We got to do the extra. Our players know that. Our staff knows that. And we're ready to go and attack it.
Yeah, it's just the usual stuff.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Good to see you guys.
Good stuff, Dan. Good stuff. Overall, I just think you can just tell, I think he does believe he's built a really strong roster, and, adding guys like Jalen Phillips, some of the guys they added in the draft, trying to solidify the offensive line somewhat. Like, he did a lot of the right stuff, and he's set himself up where they can be contenders. I think we notice, there's definitely a major red flag here, and that red flag is the offensive line, especially with that left tackle position in particular, assuming Monroe will play the right, which I think is what he said. Might have that reversed. Anyway, let's look at Dave Canales. Dave is a little bit more expressive, and so sometimes we can learn a little bit more from him than we can with Dan. But it's also early in the season, and early in the season, you're expressing or expecting positivity. That's literally what Dave is known for. It's also, you can tell it's early in the season because
Good to be back going.
From under his
Heard
eyes,
some
yeah.
great things about this summer off season. Josh Hinks, Denny Kellington talking about the group that was here working together. Unprecedented in my 17 years in the NFL to hear that there was, I think the most we had one day during the summer was about 36 guys. And what does that mean? I don't know. I just know that they like being here. They like being together, working together. And I know that means something. So, and a lot of guys were other places training hard as well. So this is nothing against that, but I do know that that's something special that we're doing something here. And I really give Josh and Denny.
Yeah, we got to work on that hat. It looks like a Lions hat from a distance. Maybe it's just my eyes.
And the crew a lot of credit because those are the guys that they're primarily working with, and they have that trust for them to get prepared for the season.
Dave, what did you see when Nick went down?
Honestly, I haven't. I was looking at the other side of the field. I just heard him go down. They're going to take him and go get imaging this afternoon, and we'll have more information on that.
To see the entire roster kind of come off the field after a drill to go see him, what does that say about how tight this locker room is, but also the magnitude of what this injury could do for this team?
Yeah, they care about each other. This is whenever you're in a group of people doing something hard together. It's has a way of creating a special bond, and between all the workouts and going through a full season and an off season and all that, it means something to the guys, and I'm proud of that. I'm proud of the fact that, the first thought in guys' minds isn't, are we going to have Nick for the season? It's how is Nick doing, and guys are checking on him. And so, again, as we have more information, we'll let you know what that is.
I mean, I hear Dave. That's a very positive way of looking at it. But like low-key, when people are just asking how is he doing, it's because they already know the answer usually. Like they just know he's not coming back for a while. And so it's just like, how's he doing? Because we already know he's not playing soon.
I don't know if it was his knee. Can you tell us that?
It was his right knee, and they're going to look at that and get some imaging, and then and we'll let you know once we have more.
ACL tear.
Never ask you to speculate, but you always hear this expression, players know when, or at least usually know when they think it's not great. Was that your kind of, did you feel that on the field at all?
I don't want to speculate. I'm hoping for the best, and so we'll just get the full imaging and before we make any announcements that way.
The call to stop practice in that moment, what went into that decision?
Well, I just know how much these guys mean to each other, and if we go up there and I go up in front of the guys and preach, the fact that we lead with love and respect and connection and relationship, this moment, while we can certainly move the drill and keep the practice going, we had enough time. Jeff and I kind of talked about we had enough time in the practice to just, to get a kickoff and everybody come up and just make sure that they send them some love, for who knows what it is, but it's a chance for the guys to connect, and I wanted to make sure they had a chance to do that.
Dave,
Whatever comes out of that, can you just talk about what that can do to that linebacker position?
We got guys. That's why we keep bringing in depth and talent and different guys. It's Jalen Phillips in that room. Pat Jones is back, and Princely's coming along, and we got a whole group of guys that we're counting on. And so, if it comes to that, we have guys that we trust, and we're going to ask to do different things. But let's hold off on that until we know what's going on.
Okay, so he's not going to get into it too much, but he's not wrong. They brought in some guys like Jalen Phillips was a really big piece for them that they can put on the edge and utilize that. Phillips has had some injury issues, though. So the thing that made me feel good about the Phillips signing was that, okay, we still have Scorton, we still have Princely. Like, those are guys that can continue to grow and develop if a guy like Phillips goes down at some point during the season. Now you're really depending on Phillips to really be there and be a consistent pressure for you on the line, and then you're really going to need Princely to continue to make a step up, make a huge leap in comparison to last year, because he has to improve and just be more dominant if this defense is going to do what they're going to need it to do. And like you mentioned, Patrick Jones, he can be out there a little bit, but he typically You know, he can do his thing. I'm not going to call him a bum or anything, but he's just usually not as impactful as I would like for him to be. But he's fine.
Jonathan Brooks' first ever training camp practice in his career. It seems like you gave him a lot of work. How did he look out there? How excited are you about how he attacked this entire rehab process getting here?
Really looking forward to just the hard work that JB has had to do over the last couple of years to get him to this point. He feels great. He feels strong. He looks fast. He looks like the guy that I remember, and I'm really excited for that. But more so just for a guy to go through things and to be able to have the emotional and mental resiliency to go through that training twice. To get himself back, you know, this is a celebration, and you can feel the gratitude on him. You can feel the focus and how important this opportunity is for him.
You guys brought back Brady Christensen last week. Obviously, he's not on NFI or PUP. Where's he at physically after that Achilles last year?
He looked good. He practiced today, was an individual, took a couple of reps, and brought him in for his physical, and he looks as strong as ever, and he's excited. We're excited to have him back, of course, as you all have seen over the last couple of years, the versatility he brings, and then of course with Timo not being available, just his versatility and depth there, and of course drafting Monroe, having Stone Forsythe in the building, all things that we didn't.
And he's talking about Christensen, just like Morgan was, but Jonathan Brooks is the backup running back in theory. Backup. I mean, I think we're expecting Chuba and Jonathan to be like a 1-2 punch deal here at this point. But Jonathan Brooks has been hurt like the last year or two, maybe 3, no, probably 2 years. And I think he was a 2nd or 3rd round pick. Let me see, I don't remember. Jonathan Brooks. Yeah, he's a 2nd round pick in 2024. And so we haven't seen him really at all. And so it's nice to hear that he's looking good. He's looking the way people remember. Because that's kind of what you want out of when you draft someone that you know is hurt and that you know is going through injuries. It's nice to just see them be who you thought they could be. And so hopefully you can keep that up and stay healthy.
No, we didn't know what to expect. We just know on the offensive line or wherever you're at in football, it's good to have guys that are familiar with your system and guys that you can trust.
How do we feel about the rookies and the way they're blending in? It seems like he's getting real comfortable on the sideline there.
Yeah, what's interesting is just looking at the full group, it doesn't feel like there's a lot of rookies. I know we added a full draft class and free agents and all that, but it feels like a bunch of guys who have been around us and know what to expect, and it makes it a lot easier for the rookies to just kind of blend in and find their space, knowing we don't need them to be vocal right now. We just need you to do your job and earn that trust and respect from your teammates. So I think that takes a lot of pressure off of the guys to be able to just go out and focus on their job and perform. So
Monroe has experience playing on the right side, but moving him over as a rookie, how do you not sort of overload him?
Yeah, we going into it, obviously with Timo not being available to us for a certain amount of time, we just kind of evaluated the group, and we feel great about Rashid, and Rashid's played high quality football for a long time at left, and I think Rashid could play in different positions as well. Starting off with the rookie, you want to let a guy focus in on one spot or another, and we gave him a little bit of exposure. Monroe in the spring, just playing on both sides. And really, he and I had a conversation, and I don't mind telling you this, but just said, in my mind, I wanted Monroe to go out there, earn the job, win the job, and now we're in a situation we need him to go now. And we have guys behind him that can offer that depth part. But he didn't blink, and he started smiling, and he even said, at one point in the summer, just he and Rob, who were some of the guys working out together, and Rob was like, you should come play over next to me, and just kind of recruiting him to play on that right side. And you can imagine those two monsters next to each other. So we're excited about it, and there'll be a learning curve on either side for him. And so we made that decision and felt good about the group by leaving Rashid at left and having Monroe go over to right.
Yeah, and that tracks. Like you heard Dan say basically the same thing. They all believe in Monroe. That's why they spent their 1st round pick on Monroe Freeling. And it also just, from a logistics standpoint, makes sense for Monroe to be at right tackle, because Taylor Moton is older. He's like 30 plus. Let me double check this. Yeah. He's like 31. So he's like older. Tackles can play for a bit longer, but he's not the spring chicken he used to be. As someone who's in their 30s, I can say this. And so it makes sense to put the rookie at right tackle where you have an aging tackle, because that gives you a little bit more stability. Icky, he has the injury, he's going to be out all year. Icky's still pretty young. We just drafted him like 2, 3, 4 years ago. And so Icky is a left tackle. He needs to stay at left tackle. You don't want him to have to come back and then learn another, Dan talked about the differences between both sides, but you don't want him to have to learn right tackle now after still coming off of a knee injury. So long story short, their plan makes a ton of sense here. And I like that they feel good about Monroe. I do too. It's Rashid I'm worried about, but hopefully he comes through.
Incoom, T-Mac, Trevin Wallace, Bam Martin Scott, all were pretty limited during OTAs. Are they all full go? Are they all ready to go? And if so, what did you see from T-Mac today during team drills?
Yeah, these guys have been cleared. They were pretty healthy coming out of the spring, but we were, again, just being a little cautious with the red jersey, just trying to make sure that they can get fully strong and stable. They just fell right into the group and flew around as far as I could tell. Again, I'm going to go and watch the practice right now and dive into the details of it, but I'm really encouraged by just the way that they went out there and attacked it. And T-Mac looked great, and he's gotten stronger and he knows the system. And that was one thing I'll comment too, just on the offensive side. First and foremost, just watching them come out of the huddle. There wasn't a lot of uncertainty. Guys that are familiar with the system, where to line up, what we're trying to get done, I could feel that.
So that sounds like a little thing, but for this Panthers team, there's been moments where there was a lot of uncertainty, so that's a good thing.
I could feel the tempo, and there's an attacking mindset. There's an aggressiveness. When then you can just go out there and play free and play fast, and that's what it felt like. And on the defensive side, just kind of taking a quick snapshot of what it felt like out there, just having Devin in the middle of that defense, bringing them together, getting things communicated quickly before they take the field, getting together, having that focus for this play, for this rack, for this period. It's great to have that kind of energy and that juice out there. And I could feel that was a noticeable feeling that I got from Devin and his leadership out there. And I was excited really about both groups where we're at just on day one, to be able to capture the way we practice, the speed with which way that we practice, and then the preparation and guys knowing what to do.
The first practice feel for you without the responsibility of play calling?
It was great, just bouncing around. I got a group of guys that I certainly have my eye on. I won't share that, but I'm trying to task myself with making sure that I can affect not just the coaching staff, but a couple of players, that I really want to challenge to take steps and take strides. And so going into each practice with that mindset, I feel.
With Dave, it's always a little funny. You can always tell he gets a little uncomfortable when he starts to talk about something that's not super positive. And you could tell he's about to overshare. He was like, here's a couple of guys I am a bit worried about. We're going to put some pressure on. And then he caught himself. I think you even heard him stumble over his words a little bit, which I do a lot, but that's not something you see from him too often. And so it usually is when it's a little bit less of a positive conversation.
Can really, sharpen my focus on a couple of guys and then be able to see the whole thing. But Brad did an excellent job in preparing these guys to the point where they came out and, we had a really smooth pre-practice walkthrough and the guys were ready. And then we hit the ground running in the team periods.
That you focus on change daily? Is that?
Yeah,
okay.
It will. And, there's battles, right? There's depth battles, there's starting position battles, all those things that are happening. And so I just want to make sure that I'm connected to those. And then, of course, following back up after we watch the film with the staff this evening to just kind of process where we see the progression of our players.
Do you have a better idea on the timetables for Icky, Turk, and now Taylor?
Not really. Optimistic with Icky's recovery, but again, I don't know what that specific timetable looks like. Traditionally, this is a 9 to 12 month injury, so somewhere in that zone. I just know that he's doing really well in his rehab. So, and then with Timo, it's just a matter of just continuing to have checkups and going through that. Same thing with Turk. Turk has some regularly scheduled checkups to make sure things are going in the right direction. But for the guys, I can say they're all doing as much as they possibly can. They're itching to get back. And I know that we're going to have to hold them back from, wanting to come back too early from this or that. We just have to be really smart with the process and just ask them to show up every day and, just go through their routine and whatever's being asked of them and just keep taking the next step in their recovery.
When would you expect JC back?
JC pretty quickly. It was a laceration, so it was as good as it could be, I guess, from what the injury was. But he was out there doing some things today. He was backpedaling, and there wasn't a lot of change of direction. Just trying to be smart with it because it's pretty fresh. But we're optimistic we'll get him back in the next couple of weeks.
What have you seen out of rookie Chris Brazel since OTAs?
Yeah, speed. Again, wrestling with the concepts, wrestling with where to be and what time to get to this route and that. That's natural. That's a normal part of this. But, he made a great play today, kind of got up in the air. Mike Jack on the sideline carried him out of bounds. So beautiful play on both guys. The high point 6'4" guy running down the field like we thought he could. And then, of course, the veteran Mike Jack just kind of carrying him out of bounds. In a very legal way. It was a brilliant play. But I love that he brings that element to our offense. I believe that can open things up for T-Mac, for Coker, for Xavier. And, when Chris gets his...
You could tell he was like, don't forget about Xavier. We can't let him feel bad about this. He has to feel like he's still a part of the team. Let's make sure we keep hyping him up in these interviews. And he was like, oh, yeah, man, Brazel is going to be a beast. He's going to be a weapon. He's going to make things open for our real guys, Coker and Tet. For McMillan, I have to stop calling him Tet. Or T-Mac, I can do that. It's a learning process for me. But you could really tell he was trying to be like, okay, gotta mention Xavier. We have to make sure he doesn't feel bad about this.
His chance,
He is an afterthought, though, you could tell. They want him to be good because they want their team to be good, but he's in trouble. He knows it.
As he tells us he's ready for roles, we'll continue to give him roles. So I'm excited for him this camp.
Dave, with the extra preseason game and 2 joint practices, what is your balance for making sure guys get live reps during the preseason, but also not overworking guys?
Just trying to have a certain amount of in-game reps goals for each guy. Not every 2 guys are the same. Speaking to the starters first and foremost. Some guys need to play a little bit more. Some guys may not need to play as much, but I would like all of them to get a good dose of that. The science says the more that they're exposed to those game time reps, the more likely they are to be durable as you go into the beginning part of the season. Just having, even in the joint practices, which I think are gold, and because we can control them, and the couple of teams that we're practicing with, we have a lot of familiarity. I have a lot of familiarity with those coaches, and we practice similar, so we're very accustomed to that physical type of nature and all that. But even with those practices, we all know when it's game time and those lights are on or that ball's kicked off and there's fans there, it goes up another notch. And that's the nature of it, and you want to be able to expose your team to a good dose of that. How much that is, I think that'll be a week-to-week decision.
Coach, I'm sorry, one more right here.
Yep.
Coach, one of the biggest sports events just wrapped up, the World Cup. Did you get a chance to watch it with the guys? And if you watched, which game did you watch? And what's your reaction to this?
We didn't watch it together as a team, but my family, we were certainly following it and watched it with friends and family. But it's really inspiring to see a group of guys come together who all play on different teams most of the rest of their careers, who can rally together in pursuit of a goal. And that part certainly will be used in our team meetings, our Saturday night meetings, and just the ability in a short amount of time to all be connected on a common goal. And that was exciting. And also to just see, watching Argentina and watching the resiliency in the finish, the way that they were able to finish strong in most of their games till the last one. Okay. But, they played with a lot of passion, and they never made an assumption about who's going to win the game early on in the first half or even in the 70th minute. They didn't make an assumption, even if they were behind. You just keep playing. And what a great message, and something that I try to share with our team. Let's not make an assumption on what's going to happen, good or bad, with this game. Let's just keep playing until there's no time left. And so that was a really good example and a lesson for all of us.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Very on brand for Dave, very positive. He loves those Argentina coming back and winning in like the final minutes. Just always the never give up mentality. Never change, Dave. Never change. But yeah, I mean, good stuff overall. It's early in the season. You're never going to hear them be too down or negative. But we did still learn a lot of things. We learned who's going to be starting on the offensive line. They didn't give us a lot of fluff there. They're like, hey, we know this is going to be a little rough around the edges, but this is the plan we're going to go attack with, and we're going to be consistent with this in our offseason planning, so these guys can develop a bit more. And then outside of that, we learned they're feeling pretty good about the defensive side of things. Scorton going down, definitely a big blow, but they brought in guys like Phillips. They still have Princely who can help a bit. They have depth where they can try and make up for losing a big piece like that. For me, I always think about guys like that season, 2015 season, when the Panthers lost Kelvin Benjamin in the preseason, and all of us were like, we are so screwed. Sounds crazy saying that now because it was Kelvin Benjamin, but, you know, hindsight 2020, we thought we had faith back then that he could be somebody different. But everyone gave up pretty early on in that season because they're like, okay, we're screwed. We don't have a receiver. And things still worked out. So I never get too down because of crazy injuries like that, but it definitely is still a blow. Anyway, if y'all like this, let me know. If not, I can always stop doing it. But I think it could be fun, just kind of like looking at these interviews. I watch them anyway, and even looking at a few different teams too, and just getting a little bit of context on those. But yeah, I think overall, Dave and Dan are on the same page as I expected them to be. And, you know, fingers crossed, Panthers, you can keep it going. Peace out, y'all.